I'm Steve Dangle, and you're listening to Stick to the Pod.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Stick to the Pod. Yes, episode 37. Yep, I'm changing it up. I'm going to episodes. I'm dropping the seasons. So instead of it being season 2, episode 15, it's episode 37. We're just going to go continuous from the first episode that I did and then continue through on in. It just makes things a little bit easier when there's off season or when there's specials coming out that may not be coinciding with the season. So yes, it's a brand new episode. It's episode 37. We're going to go straight into the Leader Conference, just the 4 games from them this current weekend. And we're going to start straight into it with the Kingston Sharks hosting the unbeaten, undefeated, all-scoring Sutton Sting. And it was a 5-2 victory for the Sutton Sting, outshooting their opponents 33-28, so very close in the shot count. Sutton Sting will be thankful for the Kingston Sharks not having a well-worked power play, as they went none for 5 on the night, losing out 5-2. Howells and Daintith on the score sheet for Kingston, and Humphreys absolutely with 2, and Joe Colton on the score sheet for Sutton. Moving on then, and it is the other undefeated team, scoring goals for fun. No one could touch them. Over 123 goals they've got so far this year. And it's the Telford Tigers who maintain that unbeaten stretch, outshooting their hosts 39-27 in a 3-2 victory over the Coventry Blaze. And again, just as Sutton Sting, we're very thankful the Kingston Sharks hadn't brought their best power play to their game. It was the same old story for the Coventry Blaze. 1 for 8 on the night, and they just couldn't get the job done in a 1-goal game. Telford Tigers taking the game 3-2, maintaining that unbeaten run and getting ready for that big game that's coming up against the Sutton Sting. But as I said, the Coventry Blaze 1 for 8 on the night. Not great from them on the power play. You're probably got to give kudos to the Telford Tigers defence on that one. But again, with the man advantage, you've got to expect a little bit better from the Blaze and also the Kingston Sharks. Moving into Sunday then, and just 2 more games. The D-side Ducks take a hammering at the hands of the Alty Aces, who are still on the hunt for a cup place in the cup semi-final. They hammered the D-side Ducks 16-4, outshooting them 58-35. Quickly run through the scorers, there's plenty of them. Dunford, Price with 2, Frost with 2, Milnes with 3, Gotts, Kamensek, 2, Best, Ashton, King with 2, and Sullivan. And for the Ducks, it's Jones, Dixon, Clarkson, and Fadeyevs. So just quickly run through those 4 fixtures from the Leader Conference. Saturday, we had the Kingston Sharks hosting the Sutton Sting and losing out 5-2. Coventry Blaze hosted Telford Tigers, losing out 3-2. The Billingham Buccaneers visited the Sheffield Titans on Sunday, taking the game 5-2. And it's the Altrincham Aces thrashing the D-side Ducks 16-4. So the table then, there isn't much movement going on in the table. As I said before, it is the Sutton Sting and the Telford Tigers leading the way, running away with it in fact. They are both unbeaten. Like I say, they'll play each other very soon. The best placed, best of the rest is the Billingham Buccaneers in 3rd place. A massive, I think they are, it's quick math, 9 points behind at the moment. Like I say, those 3 losses to the Sutton Sting so far for the Buccaneers. In 4th place is the Altrincham Aces. They're just 1 point above 5th. But I've played 3 games more than the Coventry Blaze, who've only played the 12 with 20 points. 6th is the Sharks with 14 games played and 18 points. 7th is Sheffield Titans with 10 points. A massive drop from 6th to 7th. Like I say, it's 8 points, the difference there. The Bulldogs of Bradford are in 8th with 14 game played as well with 10 points. 9th place is League New Boys D-side Ducks. The only team so far to concede 100 goals as well, by the way, with conceding over 112. The Ducks have 5 points, and the Billingham Lions 15 games played and just the 3 points. So what's that mean in the cup divisions then? We will take a quick look. We know Sutton Sting have topped Division A, and we know in Division B it was the Telford Tigers. We do have one confirmed semi-final so far, and that's the Billingham Buccaneers, who finished second in their division, and they will go on to play Group B winners, the Telford Tigers, in the first semi-final on January the 18th and 19th. So battling it out in Group B for that final cup slot is the Aces and the Blaze, and you've got to say it is advantage the Altrincham Aces, I believe, as in if the Aces win their last remaining cup game, it will be them who qualify, and their remaining game is against the D-side Ducks. The Blaze had to take something out of the Telford Tigers game, as I say. They got beat 3-2. They had a terrible power play, only 1 for 8 on the night, and it's cost them dearly, as it looks like the Aces will prevail and go on to move into the semi-final against the Sutton Sting, barring any major upsets. So what does the weekend ahead bring for NIHL Division 2, the later division? Well, it's just the 4 games again this weekend. It's 3 on the Saturday and the 1 on Sunday. So the 3 on Saturday is the D-side Ducks hosting the Bradford Bulldogs. It's the Altrincham Aces hosting the Kingston Sharks. I think that'll be a beauty. But the one that everyone will have their eyes on will be the Telford Tigers hosting the Sutton Sting. Yep, it's the battle of the top 2, the battle of the unbeaten. The all will go this coming weekend, and who will reign at the top undefeated. Moving into Sunday, it is the Billingham Buccaneers hosting the D-side Ducks. So like I say, just the 4 games, but all eyes will be on Telford for the Telford Tigers versus the Sutton Sting. So then, before we move into the Morley Conference, because we had a huge weekend. I can't remember the last show because it was a bit of a manic week for me last week. Not being able to get episode 13 out due to running out of hours, upload hours. All sorted now. Hopefully I can keep under my limit. Maybe I'll have to, next time I have Graham Hamilton on, I might have to put him on a word limiter to keep it down. But no, hopefully we won't go through that one again, and I can get the weekly episodes out on time. So no real major news from around the league. I'm probably just going over things quickly here. Obviously, the Blackburn Hawks announced Liam Charnock. That was a week or so ago. They bring in another National League level player. I think it's about 6 or 7 National League players that they have on their roster. So they've probably moved aside from the development side of it and are going on to the winning side and obviously head hunting for that league title. Maybe I'll have a little look into depth and just to see how many National League games between their roster there is, because I can imagine it being far greater than any other team in the division. Other news, I think Ross Kennedy is now back from a ban, which I think is crazy. I don't know what Mike Clancy's got on the league, but him only having 4 games is absolutely madness. James Royd's ban was obviously upheld, rightly so, very worth the 4 games. We've all seen the video and the images on that one. And I'm just trying to think, is there much more going on? Yardley from Hull has now received a penalty, a ban for kneeing. Ironically, it was him who came to his teammates' aid against Ross Kennedy in Kennedy's kneeing incident. He's the one who had the fighting ban. So his first game back, and he's banned again. And that just about covers it so far from other bits and bobs and news around the league. Not being much going on in the way of signings. We may get a little cluster of signings in January, as in the deadline comes to us at the end of January. 1 or 2 teams may look to make 1 or 2 changes. Wouldn't be surprised if Hawks dip into the player pool again and see if they can bring in a couple of D-men. So we'll have to see there. And obviously there is 1 or 2 rumours lingering around Whitley Bay in regards to players in and players out. So the major one, of Tom Saw. I'm not sure if that's now dead in the water or if it's been postponed till next season or later in this season. But like I say, the deadline is the end of January. The rumour has it as he was meant to be moving to the Durham area. For whatever reason, that's took longer or it's fell through. Really don't know the personal side of it. But at the moment, that deal does seem to be dead in the water as it stands. But like I say, not by all means completely done, but it has to be done before the end of January. So then, moving into the Morley Conference, and we're going to jump straight in to Saturday, and we're going to go straight into Saturday's big game of the weekend, and it was the Blackburn Hawks hosting the Billingham Stars for the third time and the second time in 2 weeks. And it was the Billingham Stars who raced out to a 4-1 lead in the first period. Again, the game started at great pace. Stars were very good defensively, which couldn't be said for the Blackburn Hawks. I don't think their coaching staff or their fans would mind me saying they were absolutely terrible defensively, and they were never going to get any worse than they were in that first period. I think they coughed the puck up 8 or 9 times. That led to scoring opportunities, and it was the Stars who could only manage to put 4 of those chances in. I think a few individuals probably had long, hard words with themselves at the end of that first period, because like I say, they were never going to get any worse than they did in that first period. And Billingham Stars raced to a 4-1 lead. It wasn't until Adam Barnes put the Blackburn Hawks ahead just inside 3 minutes. Good old Sam Allardyce would have been proud of this one. Route 1 straight up the middle of the ice onto Adam Barnes' tape, who was hovering around the blue line all night long, which is a shame to see for someone so skillful, so talented, so quick. He skates with the puck so well, he handles the puck so well, he drifts in and out of players like they don't exist. So to have him just hovering on the blue line, I think it's just an absolute waste of his fantastic talent that he has. Like, you wouldn't have that happening with Luke White. You wanted him to use his speed, and I thought that would be the same for Adam Barnes to use his as well. But no, they had him hugging that blue line all night long, and he did get his 19th goal of the season to put the Blackburn Hawks 1-0 up. It wasn't long, no, until the first defensive error cost the Blackburn Hawks, and the puck was gifted and given straight to the league's leading marksman in Ian Brown, who sniped his 35th goal on the 8th minute. And then again, it was just another mistake from the Hawks defensively, this time to allow Chris Sykes in to make it 2-1. And then by the end of the period, Lucas Dowdle and Rollins Grittins both also pounced on opportunities to make it 4-1 going into the second period. So moving on into the second period. And, well, at first, as a Stars fan, you just thought it was going to continue the way it was going to go on, really. As soon as the puck dropped, Stars took possession. James Moss skates over the blue line, and you just think, yep, here we go, 5-1, game over. Let's just look forward to it tomorrow. But unfortunately, Mossy rips the crossbar with an absolute dinger of a shot. Beats Keddy, all ends up. But this time, the luck was on the Hawks and Ben Keddy's side. The puck bounces out off the crossbar, and then the Blackburn Hawks did not look back from that moment. I've seen a few comments online, even a few comments dig at me about a few things that I said, but it's not anything that I didn't say to Ollie, I didn't say it to Aaron Davies, I said the same to Graham Lomax. I just can't understand why the official got involved in that game. He didn't need to. It wasn't that sort of game. Two teams wanted to play to win. Two teams wanted to show their skill sets. Two teams wanted to show who was the better team. There was no nastiness, there was no slashing, there was no chopping, there was no hooking, there was no holding. There wasn't really much contact in the game on Saturday night, if I'm being completely honest. But you probably wouldn't have broke a box of eggs if every player carried a box of eggs on them. I don't think there was a hit in anger at all night long. But the referee felt as though he had to get involved. The name's Perring. He's probably all side at the moment I said that. He made 3 calls in the game, 2 of which were detrimental. The Hawks' lethal attack scores 2 power play goals in the second period, amongst 2 goals from, I think it's Luckweich and Aaron Davies, I believe it was. Yeah, Luckweich and Aaron Davies, as well as 2 power play goals. The 2 power play goals from Liam Charnock and Andrew McKinney give them a 5-4 lead going into the third period. I mean, the Liam Charnock power play goal was right at the end of the second period as well, which would have hurt the Stars quite a lot. But yeah, just crazy. I don't know why he got involved. He didn't need to get involved. There was nothing happening or no reason for him to ever blow his whistle. It should have been the easiest night's work that he's ever had in a fantastic game that he could have just sat back, watched and enjoyed. But no, guys like him, like Perrin, have to be involved. They have to do something. They feel as though they've got to be doing something or it's not worth them being there. And for me, my personal side of it, yeah, I think he ruined an absolute outstanding game. Even if Hawks went to win that without power play goals and win 6-4, because that's how good they are. They can do that to you. They'll score goals. They can dominate a period as good as any team that I've watched. They can get 3, 4, 5 goals in a period. And trust me, I've been on the end of it watching this team. They are that good. So why the referee felt as though he had to get involved, again, I'm still harping on about it. I just don't know. But it is what it is. The third period was still a very good third period. I think it was quite nervy from both teams. And like the final goal of the period didn't come until the 57th minute when the Stars coach decided to take an empty net far too early, in my opinion, and for my liking. I believe there was over 3.5 minutes left in the game. He chose to use an offensive face-off to pull the goalie, and it just didn't work. And for me, I don't think it would have worked, even if had the Stars equalised, because it still would have been over 3 minutes left on the clock for Stars, or even for the Hawks to go on and get a winner. And you'd have had to go through that empty net process again, and you would have already shown your hand of what you wanted to do during that empty net process. But as it was an empty net goal from Adam Barnes, a good finish from his own zone. I know everyone says it's an empty net, he should score, but it's certainly harder than it looks. And that's how it finished. It was a 6-4 game for the Blackburn Hawks. The shots were very, very equal. I'm just making sure I get this right because I'm sure they were 34 apiece. The shots. So I get, like I say, a very close game. Both netminders played very, very well. I think both netminders probably had a goal or two that they would want back. I know Jacob Hammond for the Stars would probably want Adam Barnes back. And to be fair, Ben Keddy probably just wanted one of his D-men not to give up the puck right in front of net. But like I say, both netminders played very, very well. But it was the Hawks who take the game and the 3 points and get within touching distance of the Stars and lead the season series 2-1. Also then on the Saturday night, there was a couple of other games. Solihull Barons hosting the Widnes Wild, and it's the Widnes Wild who make easy night work. It's the Solihull Barons who make an easy night's work of the Widnes Wild, running out 82 victors, outshooting their opponents 36-20. And also Saturday, it's the battle of the final playoff spot, and it's the Leeds Knights beating the Sheffield Scimitars 3-2. And it's Sheffield Scimitars' old duo of Danico and Heinzel on the score sheet for Leeds, doing the damage against their old club, along with Wag, and it's Crawshaw and Cuts for the Sheffield Scimitars. Moving into Sunday then, and it's goals where D-side Dragons are involved, and Leeds Knights to be fair, and they play out an 8-5 game, going in favour of the D-side Dragons, who outshoot their visitors 45-8. It's Kennedy with 2, Wainwright, Harper, Dickinson, Wikowski, Hayek and Parry. And for Leeds, it's Vengus getting a hat-trick on the night, Wag getting his second of the weekend, and also Heinzel getting the second of the weekend. Moving on to the next fixture, and it's another impressive weekend for the Solihull Barons, who pick up another 6-point weekend. They beat the Nottingham Lions 8-4, outshooting them 46-44. Your usual suspects are on the score sheet, and also a new name on the score sheet for the Nottingham Lions. It's Birchnell, it's Smith, it's Padalecki, and it's Solihull old boy Bailey Challenge getting one on his former team. I'm just trying to see how many points he picked up on the night. Not just the one goal on the night. I thought he had an assist as well, but no, just the one goal on the night. And as I mentioned earlier, Padalek getting on the score sheet again for his 22nd goal of the season. But for the Barons, again, it's all your usual suspects. I saw someone put out there saying not just the top line, but I believe, before I make an absolute fool of myself here, Daniel Head, Charlie Webb. Yeah, so Mulcahy has a good day with the assists, having 2 assists on the night. Daniel Hayes scored a hat-trick. Nicholas Otterson getting a goal and 3 assists. Corey Goodison on his return to the Barons after signing from Telford. He was once a junior at the Barons. He got himself 2 goals. And Jordan Jolly also on the score sheet for the Solihull Barons. So in nets for the Lions was Isaac Ballinger. He made 46 shots, 46 saves on 8 goals, and it's Graham Laverick making 40 saves on 4 goals. So yep, letting his old pal Billy Channels getting one past him. I'm sure there probably would have been a couple of words said between the two after the game. But we move on to Hull, where they host the Whitley Warriors, and it's a 6-1 rout for the home side. And probably what was one of the shocks of the weekend, I guess. I don't think anyone expected the Warriors to go into Hull and win, but I don't think anyone certainly expected the Hull Jets to dominate the Warriors the way they did and take the game 6-1. The Warriors actually do outshoot the Hull Jets 40-36, but they do lose Phil Edgar early in the game to a cross-check to the face. Now, I've only seen a still, so I won't go into too much detail because we know how 1 or 2 fans in Whitley Bay get a bit upset about stills. So we'll wait for Graham Hampton's favourite breakfast and bands on Saturday morning to see what happens to Mr. Edgar. But a cross-check to the face, it will obviously be reviewed by DOPS, and we'll see what happens to Phil Edgar from then. But you've got to expect probably anything from 4 games upwards for a cross-check to the face, if that's exactly what it was. Goal scorers then, it was just the lone Warriors goal was scored by Yarrow, and for the Hull Jets, Edwards, Volkanovs gets 2, Beach gets 2, and Kerman is also on the score sheet. And then the final game of the weekend, and it's another barn-burning game between the Blackburn Hawks and the Billingham Stars. It's the final meeting. It's the 4th meeting already. Yes, already. We're only a week into December, and the series with the Blackburn Hawks is already over between the Hawks and the Stars. And the series goes 2 games apiece as the Billingham Stars absolutely annihilate the travelling Blackburn Hawks from the very first puck drop. The game started electric. It was up and down. It was fast. It was furious. A lot more physical. The Stars made it a lot more physical. Obviously, the smaller ice pad, they can make it more physical. And even though the scoreline was 0-0, Stars were starting, the puck was going up and down. The Stars started to dominate in certain areas. The Hawks weren't getting over the blue line as easy as the defence just kept shutting them down. Zonal time was starting to increase for the Stars forwards. They started to be camped in the zone for longer periods. And as I said earlier on in the Saturday night game, there was a few penalties in this game that did not need to be called, in my opinion. The game wasn't like that. Yes, it was physical, but it was clean physical. I think all the calls that were called were holding. I might have to double check that one. So you could see maybe the official having been 2 interference calls and a hooking call. I think all 3 of them were avoidable from the official. However, he chose to call the first one, and he called this one at 16:34 in the first period. He called Roland Grittins early in the first period, around the 8th minute mark, and obviously had Stars fans going, here we go again against this power play unit. But it just wasn't meant to be this time for the Hawks power play. They come up short. The game continued on its way. Then Billy Thomas takes an interference call. Again, both calls, in my opinion, could have been avoided. The magnitude of the game, They didn't need to be called. It wasn't a dirty game by any stretch. And it's worth saying both officials had great games. They had fantastic games. Probably looking back on the footage, the calls were probably right calls. I just don't think, but they were soft. They were soft calls, and they were probably could have been avoidable. So it's certainly worth getting that out there that both officials in each night had a good game. I just felt as though the calls were very, very soft. But back to it, yeah, Billy Thomas takes an interference call, and the Stars get on the board. They get a shot from the blue line. It's tipped in by now full-time star Conor McNulty, and they just don't look back from that. Away they go. They got that goal, and then very quickly, straight after, you're talking 30 seconds, Ian Brown scores his 36th goal of the season, and Stars take a 2-0 lead going into the second period. The intermission's a bit longer than normal. Stars have their Teddy toss, and unfortunately, obviously, the netting all around the ice means they can't throw it on the first goal, which is a shame, but the Billingham Forum and insurances, for whatever reason, we've got to have that netting up all the way around. It is what it is. So obviously the intermission was a bit longer than usual, and then we head into the second period, and it just becomes the Billingham Star show. Ian Brown, I don't know what he had to drink in the end of that first period, but he comes out on fire. Stars win the puck and from the first draw, and I don't believe they ever give it up. They never give it back. They dominated the zone time. Adam Barnes, I made a joke at the end of the game that someone had to go and see Joe Dowdle to check his pockets, because I believe Adam Barnes might have been lost in there. It was that kind of night. Every time he entered over the blue line, he was met with Joe Dowdle, who defensively worked him over very well all night long, just clearing the puck off the end of his stick, taking any threat away from him. And it was just a fantastic defensive display from Joe Dowdle versus Adam Barnes most of the night. But yeah, back onto Ian Brown. He started this period absolutely electric, and he scores goals number 37 and 38. And his hat-trick goal of the night, and the scoring just didn't stop. Just before the Ian Brown goals, you had Michael Elder making it 3-0, scoring his 14th of the night. He scores this goal at 24-34. Ian Brown gets his second on the night at 24-51, and then just a couple of minutes later, the hat-trick of Ian Brown, as I mentioned, scored at 29-54. So Stars scoring goals very quickly next to each other. When this team gets their tail wagging, the tail wags. Nothing stops them, and they just keep coming and coming. 36th minute, James Moss makes it 6-0. 43rd minute, Chris Sykes gets his 19th for the season, and just over a minute and a half later, it's the fourth goal of the night for Ian Brown. And then we move into the last few minutes, 8 minutes of the game. Michael Elder with the icing on the cake, getting the Stars' 9th goal in a 9-0 victory over title rivals, the Blackburn Hawks. I managed to listen to the interviews coming out of both sides of the club. You could see Dominic Osman wanted to say a lot more than what he wanted to, whether that's because he wasn't happy with his own team, whether he wanted to give Stars more praise but didn't dare for some reason, I don't know. But an absolute annihilation of the Blackburn Hawks from the Billingham Stars from the first puck drop all the way till the very, very end. What's worth mentioning is the performance of Jacob Hammond and the Stars defence. You've got to have some balls about you and have something about you to stop a team of Blackburn Hawks' firepower. And I'm talking Adam Barnes, probably the best player in the division. Jacob Lukwich, Sporforth, who's a talent coming through. Crawley, another huge talent coming through. Lee Pollett, another National League player. Players with a lot of experience, a lot of quality. Aaron Davies, who just loves the goal against Billingham. Shut out. It's probably the first game I've seen where he hasn't scored against Billingham. So the defence needs a huge, huge pat on the back. There was something said by Dominic Osman just a couple of weeks ago after the game, 2 weeks ago, in the 7-3 or 7-4 victory by the Hawks. And he said that obviously Stars are a good team and they played very well tonight. He knows that they had a couple of players missing, but the players missing probably wouldn't make a difference. That night the Stars played with just 4 D-men, missing Darren Stattersfield, Ben Greenhow and Joe Walls. I think he learnt very, very fast from the game on Saturday, just having Darren Stattersfield and Ben Greenhow back, how different it was going to be this weekend. Yes, they lost the Saturday night, but they weren't as tired as quick. They had energy left in the tank, and on for another night. May have got back into that game in the third period. Probably Ben Kelly deserves a lot more respect for the second and third period that he had there. But moving into the game on Sunday, you had those two back, and then you had Joe Walls back into it, and they had a decor that was ready to go all night long, and they just kept bringing it. And the Hawks offense didn't have a clue where to go. So I don't know, maybe Dominic Osman didn't realise who was missing that night for the Stars. Maybe he just knew there was a couple of players missing, but he certainly got to eat his words. But yeah, an absolute fantastic game. Like, the first period started on fire. You could see it was the two best teams, and just for whatever reason, the Stars just had that bit between their legs on Sunday night. It was fantastic to watch. Everything was great. The defence played well. They cycled the puck well when they had to cycle. They snapped the passes when they had to snap the passes. It's just a fantastic all-round performance. Outshooting the Blackburn Hawks 62-35 as well. I don't think many teams will do that to the Blackburn Hawks. And probably with that win, the Billingham Stars probably edge the title favourites tag ever so slightly, because there's still a long way to go in the season. And that just about covers it for the fixtures from the Memorial Conference. What I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll back to the top. We're going to go through them top to bottom, just in case I've missed anything off. And I'll quickly run through them, starting with Saturday the 7th of December. It's the Blackburn Hawks hosting the Billingham Stars, and the Hawks turn a 4-1 deficit down into a 6-4 victory. Moving on to Hobbs-Moat Road, where the Barons hosted the Widnes Wild, taking an 8-2 victory. Then it's over to Ellen Road, where the Sheffield Zimeters travelled to Leeds Knights, losing 3-2 to their hosts. And then on Sunday to Deeside Dragons in another high-scoring game, with the Leeds Knights winning that one 8-5. The Billingham Stars absolutely squash the Blackburn Hawks 9-0 in Billingham. Hull Jets sent out a message that they're still here, beating the Warriors 6-1. And their 6-point weekend finishes us off for the Solihull Barons, who beat the Nottingham Lions 8-4. So what does this mean for the league and cup? Well, in terms of the cup, it means diddly squat so far, but I do believe these will get sorted over the next couple of weeks. Blackburn do play Widnes in a cup game this week. I think a Blackburn win gives them top spot. That's right, yes, that gives them top spot. And Billingham play Nottingham and Deeside over the next 2 weekends. So we'll certainly get some answers out of the divisions of who might be going where. As for the league table, though, it is the Billingham Stars top of the tree. 19 games played, 16 wins, 3 losses, a whopping 137 goals scored for 48 points scored. In second is the Blackburn Hawks on 18 games played, 13 wins, 5 losses, 106 goals scored and 39 points. In third place, and played 2 further games than the Blackburn Hawks, is the Hull Jets, who have 20 games played, 12 wins, an overtime win, 7 losses, 82 goals scored and 38 points. Deeside Dragons in 5th, played 2 games less than the Hull Jets, also got 12 wins but 6 losses and 101 goals scored for their 36 points. 6th place is the Solihull Barons, 19 games played, 11 wins, an overtime win, 7 losses and just the 90 goals scored for the Solihull Barons for their 35 points. Whitley Warriors in 6th. It's the Whitley Warriors in 6th. 17 games played, 10 wins, an overtime loss, 6 losses, and just the 76 goals scored from them for their 31 points. 7th place is the Nottingham Lions, 18 games played, 7 wins, 11 losses, 65 goals scored. 10 points further back than the Warriors on 21 points. 8th place is the Leeds Knights in their first season. 19 games played, 4 wins, an overtime loss, 14 losses, just 56 goals scored, and 8 points behind the Nottingham Lions on 13 points. 9th place is the Sheffield Scimitars. 19 games played, 3 wins, an overtime loss, 15 losses, just 40 goals scored on 10 points. So still within a hope of catching Leeds for that final playoff berth. And last and very least is the Widnes Wild. It is 17 games played, 1 win, an overtime win, 15 losses, just the 38 goals scored and 5 points on the board, way behind, 5 points behind the Sheffield Scimitars. It's the Widnes Wild are the only team not to win a game at home, and the Billingham Stars are the only team so far not to lose at home. So what does this weekend bring us? As we get closer to Christmas, we've still got an action-packed weekend. It's 6 games, 3 on Saturday and 3 on Sunday. Starting bright and early on Saturday morning, it is the Nottingham Lions. I say Saturday morning, it is 12 o'clock, so it will be a bit later than the morning. The Nottingham Lions hosting the Billingham Stars. It's the Hull Jets hosting the Deeside Dragons, and the Sheffield Scimitars hosting the Widnes Wild. On the Sunday then, it's the Solihull Barons hosting the Leeds Knights. Blackburn Hawks host the Widnes Wild after their thrashing. You can't imagine what they're going to do to the Widnes Wild. And the last game of the weekend will be the second home game of the weekend for the Nottingham Lions, where they host the Sheffield Scimitars. So there is some big games down at the bottom of the table this coming weekend. You've got middle table action with Hull and Deeside, but down at the bottom you have Sheffield Scimitars versus Widnes, and you have the Nottingham Lions versus the Sheffield Scimitars. If the Widnes Wild can get a win over the Skims, it'll certainly make things look a lot more interesting moving forward. So that's it for now. Next episode, well, that's a tough one for me, because as of Thursday this week I leave the country for a week, going to find some sunshine. Don't know how or if I'm going to record, but if I do, the quality may not be as good. I may just not do one and wait till I come back and just touch up on the games. Obviously not being at the games, I can't really commentate or mention what goes on between the Lions and the Stars. There's not a lot I can do there, but we'll see. We'll see what my internet connection's like out there. I'll have my iPad and stuff, so I may be able to get something done that way. Your messages have been overwhelming after my post and my episode 13 and 14, where obviously I mentioned I couldn't get an episode out in time. Your love means absolutely everything to me. A few generous donations and offers out there that I am still dwelling over. So there might be 1 or 2 changes coming in the future, but we'll see. But yeah, if you want to get in touch in the usual ways. It's either on Twitter, it's on Facebook, leave comments on YouTube if that's the way you want to do things, or there's also emails as well, sticktothepod@gmail.com. But that's all for now. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you again very soon. Bye for now.